Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
that's better. How are you?
Yeah. How do you? Yeah, I'm
I'm very
fine.
well. Oh, you're shocked now. Are you are you from
I can
Korea?
catch I can catch you.
Are you from Korea?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I I can catch you.
You can't catch me. I catch you. This is a fake profile. This is crazy.
What was that, Arjun?
Hello, hello. Hi,
Hello.
guys. Yes, in case you're just joining the stream, we just like played one of the recent incidents that happened, I think last week at Paradex. So one of our recruiters, like Jake, he encountered someone from North Korea, and that was our first time, with like a proper like face swap and like everything. And yeah, man, it's like it's crazy. I mean, like I've only heard about these things. It was my first time like experiencing it, and that too like in our organization, it's like insane. Yeah. So stay safe out there, guys.
We're gonna play the full video later, Arjun.
Yeah. I think yeah, we'll play the full video again later. But yeah, man, it was like I think it's important that everyone like stays safe and like be alert at all times. And you just never know from where and how threat can come in.
Exactly. So, first and foremost, welcome Dime Nation. Welcome everybody. This is one of our weekly live streams that we do from the Paradex main account. So, Arjun, I think today is going to be a quite packed. There's a lot of things happening. Maybe we
Yes.
walk through some of the things to expect today. There are some planned things. There are some surprises as well. Yeah.
Yes. I would say again, like, welcome to Dime TV, guys. Today we have an exciting night. If you're in Singapore, I mean, you have an exciting night. Good morning if you are seeing it from the US. We have a lot of things lined up. We have been traveling the world for the future of finance.
Hmm.
We've been to China, we've been to Europe, and
South
soon we'll
America.
get into South America. This team in the US right now, New York, just like making sure that we are on our best game, talking to like every important person in the space right now as we move closer to the big event. But yeah, exciting times, pretty exciting times, I'd say. And today we are going to have David from treadfi on the stream. Pretty excited for that. I mean, we'll touch base more on treadfi in a while, but I mean, like, if you are anybody who's like accustomed or like in the whole Paradex ecosystem, you'd be living in a cage. You'll be living in a cave if you don't know what treadfi is right now. It's one of the hottest projects, and it's a great team, and they've been like doing great. And today we'll have David on the stream here. We'll talk more about treadfi. We'll help you guys understand how you can get your hands on treadfi points, and how you can help on a lot of XP using treadfi.
Yeah. So we saw some comments coming in. So want to just say hi to Mashi. Welcome as always. We see you every week, man.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, man. I think it's an exciting time. Before we get there, though, like there are like a few things that we need to discuss in general. And this is about like even before we get ThreadFi, we need to like get more into the theme of like today's conversation. And like one of the hottest things that's like coming out now is the whole debate about like volume versus open interest.
Hmm.
So to put things more into perspective right now, it's more or less where like what is that one metric that should be judged when you are seeing successful DEX platforms. And for forever, since the start of this entire game, it has always been that if you have more volume, you are a better DEX. If you have more volume, you are just like up on the ranks. But this new conversation is like coming along. It's like, what's the point of having a lot of volume if the OI is pretty low? So, and if there are, yeah, go on, Steamboat.
So let's backtrack a little bit before we go into OI, right? So what we are trying to say is there is a change in perspective of which metric is more valued, more important, right? So why was volume important before is because like high volumes of trading in the traditional sense means more fees for the platform, more profitable. But then as we are slowly moving into a world where people are adopting like no fee systems like Paradex, for example, then we look at other metrics to judge the performance or
Correct.
how legitimate a DEX is or a platform is. And that's, I guess, where the whole OI conversation comes in. So maybe let's between us, let's talk about it so that we can also like educate everybody, right? Like
Yeah.
why do we think Arjun that OI is a better metrics to look at compared to volume, or why it should be seen together with volume?
Yeah, I think it's better when you put it like this, that OI should be seen together with volume. Like we definitely can't say that volume is not an important metric. I mean, it is one of the most important metric, but the discussion right now is that is it the number one metric we should see indexes, and maybe the answer is no. It's like checking the ratio of like volume is to OI. Like take an example of like I would not take any indexes, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for
yeah.
example, Hyperliquid, if you see right now, is the number one project. It's like it's number one when it comes to the ratio of volume is to Y, and after that it's Paradex, it's us, and then it's again like if you have if you have if you are doing like tens of billions, or like if you are doing billions of dollars in volume, but if you have very low OI, does the volume really matter? I mean, like it's very clear that there is something shady business going on there.
So let's go deeper.
Definitely, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Sorry,
Go
let's
on.
go deeper into that, right? So like OI is essentially open interest. And when we talk about ratio, what we're trying to say, if I'm not wrong, Arjun, is that the lower the ratio between volume and open interest, or the lower the difference, the better, right? That's what we're trying
Right,
to say. Okay, and that is because open interest means there's actually like open positions. People are actually putting their money into the platform. There's capital at risk, and it shows that people are actually using it for what its purpose is. If it's if it's a low OI, low open interest and high volume, that means people are just entering and exiting positions very quickly, and it almost feels like wash trading in a way, right? So that's why
correct.
we're looking at these metrics to try and understand like how legitimate, not really the platform, but the users of the platforms are.
100%, 100%. And I mean, like again, like OI plays a more important part because it's like much harder to fake OI. Like you
Hmm.
keep a position open, and if you're you can't just keep a position open to farm something. Like you might get liquidated. Oh,
Yeah.
what nice. Might get liquidated on that end, but like with like volume, you just have with the right bots, you just can keep uh going in it, which again not bots also in general, but in general with volume. So it's interesting to see how farming is going to evolve. And
Our trading
again,
is
like
going to
we'll
be.
get into, yeah, how trading is going to get evolved, how farming is going to get evolved. And I think TreadFi has done a great job with their trading terminal right now. There are just like so many things in it. Like again, like when David is on the stream, we'll like talk about it. We have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions from the team. But yeah,
So when Arjun mentioned TradFi, what he means is TREAD-fi. TradFi as in that trading tool that we have started trying to test out, and who we have David from coming to talk to us later. So one thing about TradFi was and for all of you who just joined us, Barbara, Bruno, Palindrome, Osiris. So this is something that we want to remind you guys, and we're going to repeat this during the whole stream, is that TradFi is going to be our special guest this stream, and we have alpha codes. We have some special alpha codes for listeners, for people who are participating, engaging, asking smart questions. We have some alpha codes to be given out. And what are the alpha codes in this sense? The alpha codes are to access, I don't know if I should share this now, Arjun, but I think I'll just share it anyway. The
go
alpha
for it.
how to access the advanced bots on TradFi, like the market making bots or the delta neutral bots. So all of you listening in, pay attention once we go through some of the details later for TradFi, and remember that when you ask smart questions, good questions according to us, you will get a chance to get one of these alpha codes.
Yeah, yeah. And to add to again that, like, why today's stream is super interesting and why ThreadFi as a project is super interesting is that I was just going through ThreadFi's Twitter. There is this great like clip from Thread Guy's stream where he's talking to Taiki, and basically what Taiki says is that we are going to see, like, in the next couple of months, we are going to see like at least like 5 perp dexes that would open up on an FDV of $1 billion or higher, and all of them are giving away close to 15 to 20% in airdrop as points, and that is like $150 million in value per project. And PubDex is the alpha. Like, good for us that with Paradex right now, we have 2 major alphas going on in the market. One is PubDex, and the second is privacy. I mean, we did not plan for it, but we are at the center of both the things. Where we are at the center of, I mean, we are a PubDex, and we believe in privacy. So good for us, but like, it's a great time to keep your eyes on PubDexes. So yeah, pretty interesting times, and I think that's why it's pretty interesting to have a trading terminal like this. But we'll talk more about TradFi when David is on the stream. But like, talking more about Paradex and Paradigm, I think it's important to like come back to when there are so many PubDexes in the market, and when there's like so many things, it's important to remind people what Paradex is, what our ethos is, what we've been building in, and what the team's background is. So I keep reaffirming that, and I like anybody who's new on the stream and who's like just getting to know about Paradex and just like learning about us. Paradex has been incubated by Paradigm. Paradigm is one of the biggest institutional exchanges in crypto. We do a Paradigm.
Oh, Arjun dropped off. Okay, I'll continue. Hey, Vidi.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. So I think I'm supposed to have you on a bit later. Arjun is supposed to be on right now, but no worries. I think we can continue the conversation. So what we're trying to do is to explain the significance of the relationship between Paradigm and Paradex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's so Paradigm, for those who don't or might not know this. So I started Paradigm in 2018, and we launched in 2019 in the bear market. So Paradigm today is a large institutional exchange. It is specifically focused on options, and we do anything between, let's say, 2 to 3 billion a day in volume. We're about 35% of Deribit on any given day, and at this point, we are the largest institutional network in crypto. And so a few years ago, we decided that, hey, we need to basically be able to build on our own exchange, because Paradigm is dependent on the exchanges in the sense that we use the exchanges to settle trades. Like, the liquidity is on Paradigm, but then the settlement happens on the exchanges, and that makes our ability to kind of like respond to things quite in the sense, like, respond meaning respond to customer demand in terms of what they want built. We're very constrained because you always have to work with someone else, right? So it's like a dependency effectively. So a couple of years ago, we decided that, hey, you know what, we need to be able to build on our own stack and be unconstrained, and we did that. And that's what Paradex is. And so Paradex is incubated by Paradigm. That's the technical term, in the sense that it was incubated by us, the Paradigm team, but also our shareholders, because the Paradigm has shareholders, and Paradigm raised money back in 2021. We raised money from all the largest institutional traders in crypto, Jump Trading, QCP Capital. I mean, you name them. Genesis Trading at that time. Nexo, with all the lending protocols. So basically, every large name in crypto is pretty much on our cap table, or at least it was at that time. Obviously, the market has changed and evolved and grown, much bigger than it was 5 years ago. But we have very deep relationships with these users. In fact, I'm in New York right now, which is where Paradigm was founded. I'll be here for the next, a couple of weeks, and always great to be back home. But partly is because just making the rounds and kind of revisiting some of our relationships, and telling them about Paradex, and how exciting it is that we have this new thing that we think can help take over the world and really become something that can touch the lives of basically every single person on the earth, right? That wants exposure to financial assets, and they can do so by virtue of this thing that we're building. So it's an exciting time, and I'm super happy to be back here, and I'm trying to meet people. And we're also working on some very, very big partnerships, which we can't really talk about yet. But I think people are going to be very surprised as to if they think November was big, and November was big. December is going to be even bigger, and Jan is going to be absolutely bananas. So we're very excited, and that's part of the reason I'm here.
All right, Speedy, teasing us, love it. So thanks for that, man. Thanks for covering for Arjun. So we're gonna get him back because it's his ass that's supposed to be presenting right now and not you. So you can take a break, and we're gonna bring Arjun back, right, Dan? There we go, man.
Yo,
You made the boss work extra time, man.
yeah, man.
Okay, so we've covered Paradigm, man. I think that was super clear. And to be honest, that was not a bad timing for you to drop off, because we got the main man to actually share that with everybody. So maybe we can move on to our next segment, our next topic for tonight.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, one more thing that we need to talk about is Badger boxes and XP. Very important to keep telling you guys that anybody who crosses above 25k total XP would be eligible to get a Badger box. Badger box is the way for you to have identity in the Paradex ecosystem. Very important to know that you need to have, again, 25,000 in total XP to earn a Badger box. Yeah, that is one thing. We are distributing Badger boxes every Friday. So when there is an XP drop, that is when you get our Badger boxes, provided that you have 25k total XP. And again, we'll be distributing these boxes to Shizopunk holders as well as to people on the waitlist.
Arjun, I'm just going to add a point to what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? So the whole idea why XP is one of the main criteria right now at the start to earn a Badger box is because we want to make sure that we reward real traders. And XP in this context that qualifies you for a Badger box is earn the XP from trading. So that's why for the first few weeks, in fact, right, it will just be traders, real traders on Paradex, who are going to be earning the Badger box. So if you already hit 25k, or you just hit it this week, then you'll get some surprises coming to you on Friday when XP drops.
Yeah, 100%. And like, for people who ask, like, why have we decided on this order of things? It's very simple. I keep saying that again and again, that this is an identity token for us, and we first want to reward our top supporters. And anyone who has crossed 25k total XP, it's a sign that you've spent hours and hours trading on the platform, and you've earned all of those XP. And again, you only get it on earned XP, never on bought XP. So it's like something that you've put your blood, sweat, and energy into, and then you've gotten it. And then of course, after that, there's Shizo holders, and after that, there's waitlist holders.
All right. So I think what's going to happen next, Arjun, is we're going to be bringing up David from treadfi, right? But maybe let's hype it up a little bit and also remind people what to expect from this. So there's going to be two segments with our chat with David. One is you're going to have the noob experience. This noob here is going to be talking to David first and asking very, very basic questions so that you guys can get a sense of what treadfi is. And then we're going to have the advanced version when Fidi comes in and have a chat with David himself. And as we were reminding you guys at the start, pay attention. keep a lookout for little information tidbits. Ask smart questions. We may ask you guys questions because if you answer and if you have smart comments, there are alpha codes up for grabs. And what do the alpha codes do? The alpha codes give you access to some of the more advanced tools or the bots, in fact, on TreadFi. And now we can bring on David.
How's it going?
Hey, David. Oh, good to meet you, man.
Yeah, first time I think meeting. It looks like you're in the Singapore office.
I'm in the Singapore office, and as you can see, we have, I don't know if you can see Dave in my background. Like, we have our mascot, Dave, over here.
Yeah. No, I've been a couple times. It's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we're gonna start talking about TreadFi from a very like basic level, right? So I'm just gonna be lazy and ask you a lot of questions so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. In your own words, in a sentence if possible, what is TreadFi?
So treadfi is an algorithmic trading platform that abstracts away a lot of what is hard about trading. Yeah. It's well, you said one sentence, but
yeah.
If I could add another sentence,
Okay.
trading on limit order books is hard. If you notice, it moves quite quickly. And for you to go and execute stuff efficiently, algorithmic trading, so computers who are able to react to 10 millisecond information piece or the stream of information that comes in every 10 milliseconds, that's how you compete. So we offer algorithms so that you can abstract away all of the hard parts of trading.
Hard parts and time-consuming parts as well, right? I mean, I really do not have time to properly manage like my portfolio. So right now I can, and I started using TreadFi, so I'm quite excited. But I'm using really basic stuff at the moment, so we'll try and get into that later. For anyone who's listening in and wants to explore TreadFi, I'm not going to ask David this. I'm just going to tell you guys directly. It is very easy to get started. All you need is an account on any of the supporting exchanges or DEXs like Paradex. Link your wallet, and that's it. Like, that's all I needed to do. And then it reads my portfolio, and now I can start trading. But I mean, you have to have money inside, obviously. I forgot about that at the start. So I'm going to share with you, David, what I have been trying to do on TreadFi. So I technically have it on my share screen, but I don't know if we can pull it out. But essentially, I took one of the alpha codes that we have, and I am testing out the bots right now. So what I'm really, really curious about is understanding how delta neutral actually works. Like, it sounds so simple. It is one of the most overused terms. Oh, I got a delta neutral position, but people don't actually realize how much math there is to it. You know, so one of our technical engineers 2 weeks ago did an educational session, and he helped us understand what it means to create a delta neutral position and how you maintain it, because it requires a lot of balancing along the way. It's only delta neutral the moment it's created, right? So that's why I was very interested to start my journey in TreadFi with the delta neutral bot. So I think I am shorting ETH and longing Bitcoin.
Yeah. So I'll try to dumb it down, but essentially this is not necessarily a delta neutral trade. Maybe a beta neutral trade or something, but delta really, it just comes down to the fundamentals of trading, where if you go long and buy something and the price goes up, you gain money, but then if it goes down, you lose money. That is what you can think of as delta. It's a change in state over time, where as the price of an underlying asset goes up and down, your returns also kind of are correlated and may go up or down. If you're short, then it's the opposite. If the price goes down, you make money. If it goes up, you lose money. The idea of delta neutral is to create a position or a series of positions so that even if the price goes up or down, your portfolio doesn't change as a whole. And the way that you would achieve it is to actually go in and buy and sell the same underlying asset. So for example, the most simple way to be delta neutral, and something that has taken popularity in the past 2 years, is the Athena trade, what most people know it as. But you essentially go long on the spot so that if this price goes up by, let's say, 10%, you gain 10%, but then you go short on the perp by exactly the same amount. So if you're long 1 ETH and short 1 ETH, if the price of ETH goes up 10%, on the long leg, you essentially made 10%, but on the short leg, you've lost 10%. So you're zero. And conversely, if the price goes down 10%, on the short, you made 10%, and on the long, you lost 10%. So you end up with zero. You can achieve this across a bunch of different options. So like you could go perp across different exchanges. So if you're long 1 ETH on Paradex and short 1 ETH on Hyperliquid, that is the delta neutral trade, because if the price goes up, then the long position on Paradex will make money, but you'll lose money on Hyperliquid and vice versa. So just to recap, delta neutral just means regardless of what the price does, your portfolio is not affected. The kind of question then is, why would you want to do this? Because you're not necessarily making anything. But the reality is, with funding rates and different kind of, I guess, like funding rates on the perp side, this does end up being a good cash and carry trade where the price is not affected or doesn't affect your portfolio. But if you're not, most of the time, if you're short the perp, you get the funding rate coming to you. And so if you were running the Athena trade of buying 1 ETH and shorting 1 ETH on, let's say, Hyperliquid, you will probably get something around 10% APY just by holding that short. Conversely, if you were to go and open up 2 perp positions, and let's say, for example, Paradex has a negative funding rate on Doge, but it's positive funding rate on Hyperliquid, you actually get the double dip. And so you get paid to hold the long on Paradex, but you also get paid to hold the short on Hyperliquid, let's say, and then now you get double the funding rates. And so it becomes a very good trade because it's very risk averse. The price of the asset can change and you necessarily wouldn't be affected. It does provide for a lot of opportunity, especially with the spot side. If you do have the long spot position, you can also, well, for example, like you can take your ETH and stake it on Lido, and you can use that like LS ETH to go and collateralize your short ETH, and you're always going to be net collateralized. So yeah, it's a complicated trade, I would say, to set up, because as you mentioned, you have to enter it right at the same time. Like if you're doing it, let's say 1 leg at a time, and you decide to buy ETH, and the price of ETH just like completely dumps 10% before you're able to short it, you've lost 10% before you've entered the trade. And so that's what we do on TreadFi. Our delta neutral bot is able to go and open both legs of the trade in a TWAP. So it's able to go, regardless of how big your position is, it'll figure out how long you can trade. Oh, you do have to select account first before the pair show up. But yeah, you can decide how long to trade. And so you can enter like pretty big OI trades with this because you don't have to worry about market impact or spread. And so, yeah, it's an execution tool. The alternative is
Dave, can you zoom into your screen so we can see? Oh, that's Steamboat. Sorry.
Oh no, this is mine. I can zoom.
Yeah, it's just
so
so that
the alternative is you just market order on both sides. Like you have 2 tabs open, you market order both sides at the same time. But this is a much better alternative because let's say you want to do a 100K order on a altcoin, a market order with 100K, regardless of how liquid it is going to cost you a lot. And when you're talking about like 10% APY, 20% APY, every basis point matters. So yeah, that's delta neutral trade from the beginning, and then also where we fit into all of this.
Dave, I'm curious, Dave. First of all, I think we're like we're going through the details. I wanna take a step back, and you guys obviously have had a bunch of success recently. So first, I want to congratulate you on that. I know you've been grinding in the trenches for a long time. I've been a fan of yours. I can safely say that since the beginning. I think our initial conversations were over 12, 18 months ago. You definitely come across as someone that is very passionate, number one, very knowledgeable, number two. And I think you have this like combination when a person knows their shit and gives a shit, there's almost like there's a very high chance that that person is going to find success in the future, right? And when I first met you, not just met you, but also by reading and interacting with your tweets and your LinkedIn post. I remember back in the day, you used to tweet a lot on LinkedIn before, probably because of your institutional background. And so and then now you like the rest of us, you've made this seamless transition to the crypto Twitter world. But nonetheless, your history has been, I particularly really value the journey that you've kind of been on, because I've been through it myself, and it's a really cool thing to see an entrepreneur start out with an idea, kind of like be in the trenches, roll up their sleeves, continuing to sort of like innovate, and just kind of keep pivoting and iterating until you kind of find the right product market fit. And of course, over the last 3 months, I think you've really found your niche. So before we like get into anything, we'd love to like get your thoughts on like what is the 12 months, what has the last 12 months been. Maybe you could just like give us a flavor for like, because people only see the success you're having now, right? Like what just give us a sense for what that feels like.
Yeah. No, thanks a lot for the kind words. But no, definitely we connected a long time ago before any of this, and we're on the same frequency. And so it was just a matter of time before we eventually started working together. And so I'm really glad that it happened, and I'm happy that things ended up this way. But yeah, as far as the journey goes, I would say it starts way before the startup even. I was on the equities algo trading desk at Morgan Stanley for 7 years. And in finance, that's a lifetime. Like you do move around a bit, but I was on one desk doing one thing. And I think it really clicked maybe 2 years into the job, because I was never a trader before. I was hired as a dev. My background is in computer science. And so when I realized that this job at Morgan Stanley was not necessarily about the money, it was more about the platform that it gave me. Because every day I came to work, the guys who sat beside me were world experts in algo trading. And us as a desk, we're doing like 20% of institutional flow globally through our algos. And that's when I realized I'm not here to just show up and do my job. I have an opportunity here to really get obsessed about algo trading. And this is a very lucky position to be in, because I essentially have no ceiling. I can go and do a lot. I have the best resources and the people around me. And so at some point, I just realized like I have to not just take it seriously, but just make it an obsession. And so I started really just going home after work, studying algo trading, studying market microstructure, reading like papers about different types of theories about why certain things act a certain way. And when I had that kind of drive in that environment, I think that's what really got me here. Eventually, the startup stuff was kind of a detour where eventually, after 7 years, I still didn't feel like I'd plateaued in terms of my growth, but I did want to try something new, and so I dove into crypto. But even then, like I couldn't get away from my obsession with this. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's a lot to do with this mindset of algo trading is actually very dry. I know some people think it's fun. I know people think quant's fun. It's not. It's so grindy. There's so many numbers, and like 90% of the stuff you look at that you might think is interesting, it's actually just noise, and so you have to move on. But at the end of the day, I think it's all about not doing what you're passionate about, but being passionate about what you happen to be doing. And
so that's a really putting it. Like you find your passion by first immersing yourself in the work that you're doing, and not necessarily, I hear this all the time from people. It's like, oh, but like you're lucky that you found your passion. And I was like, no, I just embraced what I was learning, which is, I love learning, and I embrace that. And you can learn no matter where you start, right? Whether you start being on an algo desk, whether you're on the street, you're delivering groceries. Like if you dedicate yourself to your craft will lead you, that passion will lead you to ultimately finding value. So that's extremely well put. And I think nowadays it's like it's hard for people to find that, because there's so much distraction too on the internet, right? I mean, we can go on and on about that, but I want to also like is double click on like the last 3 months, right, or 4 months, where obviously you built treadfi. It's this OEMS, and for people who don't know what an OEMS is, it's an order management system. So effectively it's a platform that sits on top of multiple venues, and it allows things like all the wonderful things that you just described, which is you can do cross exchange trading, you can have all these sophisticated algos, sort of like gives you more granularity when you're trading and more control and more automation in a way in which it kind of like supercharges a trader, right? I think that's the best way I can describe it. And so fine, you built that, you came from an institute background, so naturally you tended to do something that which makes sense. But over the last 3 or 4 months, like what was the start of the process when you said, okay, you know what, because you talk a lot about wrappers on your LinkedIn, on your Twitter. Maybe you can tell us, like, what was that moment when you were like, you know what, I built this thing, everything is there really, but now if I can just put this wrapper on it, and basically it like sells the story in a completely different way, in a way in which it like resonates with people, and then boom, catches fire, right? So maybe you could just like double click on that piece.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with just being a startup. When people say they're going to pivot, sometimes they drop everything and just do something new. But generally, like my personality is very stubborn. And so I truly believe since the beginning that algorithmic trading is something that's useful and something that would make traders' lives much better. I wasn't really sure about how to get there, but that wasn't necessarily, or that didn't mean that I was necessarily going to create new algos every time. The foundation that we built, which is like this high frequency trading engine, and then the TWAP scheduler, and eventually the VWAP, all of that was just me believing that this is net good, and we can add more stuff to it. And eventually, when it comes down to product market fit, it's just like that one wrapper UI that takes off. And so we started the retail platform about a year ago. Yeah, and the platform saw some success with retail whales and prop funds, but it didn't really hit mass market. And what happened about a month ago was, as you said, like I put a UI on top of an algo that already existed for 2 years, and I spent the time figuring it so that it could be a decent market maker bot, and that took off. And I think other people could have done the same thing, but the reason why we're able to go and grow so fast and so far sustain it was because of the fact that we had put all this work for 3 years into building the foundational blocks, and eventually it was just one wrapper that speaks to people. And
I think you did a good job of market, like it's not just the wrapper, it's the story that comes with the wrapper. I think you're kind of like your I wouldn't say it's a vision statement, but the statement that is kind of like catching or is like resonating with people is this algos for all thing, which I think makes sense, right? It gives people, it makes people feel like you're selling to the feel. I think products that cater to the feel of something tend to do better than products that are just like pure, like, oh, I do this and I get this value from it, and it's like very cut and dry, right? So like I think it like fits really nicely. I've been a big fan of bots, and we've talked about why I think bot marketplaces for like algo bot marketplaces, etc., are going to be a very critical part of our Paradex's future, but any DEX's future as well, is because it basically this people like this idea of being more in control and being supercharged at the same time, right? And if I can do way more with less, which is effectively what your market making bots do, right? It simplifies the process of, okay, if I want to farm, and people talk a lot of shit about on Twitter, there's a lot of retards on Twitter just talking nonsense about like, oh yeah, but this is really not a market making bot, whatever. Like you're creating value. Whether you like, and if you didn't create value, people would not use your fucking your thing. So like, what are we like squabbling about? Like but again, there's always haters on Twitter, so you let them do and say whatever they want. But I think that's important. It's just like, I think there's a little niche that you found, which I think is very interesting, and I'm sure it'll continue to grow. But what would you say to the haters, right? I obviously know my stance. I have a very opinionated stance on this. But what would you say to all these people who are talking shit about saying, oh, this is not actually market making? Because there's a fair amount of that on Twitter right now.
Yeah, well, so first of all, I'm like 3 years old. I spent 7 years like on the Wall Street trading floor, and I was on a desk of quants, many of who were well, they're either like Chinese or Eastern European, and so like the kind of cultural conflicts there with like Western culture is oftentimes the quants are a lot more just to your face. Like if you're wrong, you'll be told that you're wrong. And so yeah, I'm older. I've spent a lot of time being challenged, and so I'm not really fazed by the criticism. I do think that there is a lot of validity to the criticism, but I did tweet about it once, which is like this thing is so new. I think at the time it was like 3 weeks old. So like, yeah, I understand the criticism. Like I am going to go and try to make the product head in a direction so that we can address a lot of these criticisms, which I think are valid. But at the end of the day, some of it was a little bit misguided with saying like, oh, this is wash trading. I've been in this space probably more than those guys. Like in fact, when I was at Morgan Stanley, the sister team to ours was one of the biggest designated market makers on NYSE and NASDAQ. So when I designed it, like, all of that kind of comes back, and I had to be very careful about whether to try to avoid it being wash trader or wash trading bots and think about the market microstructure. And I try to make it a net good, right? And I think it did, but it'll just get better from here. So yeah, I don't really mind it. I'm not emotionally attached either way to these kind of arguments or kind of criticisms on Twitter. I do feel like it's healthy for people to post their disagreements and their own thoughts and get people to decide for themselves. And the product really is aligned with my thoughts on this, which is I'm as transparent as you can get. I even posted like how the market maker works on Twitter. There's no secrets. There's no like adverse motives or I'm just building the bots and they're just execution bots, right? And so you can configure exactly how it should be. And I'm just here to make sure that people can express that with algorithms on the limit order book. So,
Trevor, a friend of the show and friend of Paradex, Trevor, who's also like co-hosted this thing, he just sent me a message saying, Nike made everyone feel like an athlete. TreadFi is making everyone feel like an HFT, which is a pretty cool. Maybe you can use that in your marketing.
Well, so actually, I also saw a question that said like, does TreadFi have access to their funds? I mean, that's a very relevant question to this, which is we do not. And I think so we do not, because we act as an agency execution, like an agent wallet for Paradex and all the perp dexes. So all we can do is execute trades on your behalf. We don't have the ability to read your private key or withdraw funds. We can just execute trades. And those are the ones that you tell us to execute. And so
you use the subkey architecture, right? Which is effectively you're generating these subkeys, and then those subkeys only have permissions to trade. So you cannot withdraw, you cannot do any of these, other things as well. And by the way, on Paradex, there's in addition to subkeys, we also have a guardian key. So you basically, the guardian key enables you to basically have effectively like a multi-sig for any sort of withdrawal. So it should be relatively safe.
Yeah, but I did want to bring up, like, I think part of the reason why we became so big and went viral almost is because of this one key detail, which is we could have run a vault very similar to like market making vaults that exist in perp dexes and just get people to deposit their funds, and it just does the market making. But the design decision from the beginning was we're going to let users trade on their own accounts. And so like the early users, of which Trevor was one of them, the moment you like click on start market making and you go to Paradex and look at your open orders, there's a dopamine rush because you see the orders coming in, you see the fills coming in, and you do get this sense. And as far as like this kind of resonation with or why we resonated with the public, and at the time we did, the bot came out roughly right after 10/10. And so I think a lot of people up to that point, and maybe even like only a few days ago, there was a huge crash. A lot of people were taking these large leveraged bets, whether it's a long or a short, in order to a little bit to like try to make money. But on perp dexes, they were doing it because they wanted to participate. They wanted to be part of something that they thought had a lot of staying power and could grow in the future. And points and airdrops are kind of like a backloaded incentive for this, where if you participate and you get a lot of activity on your account, then you get a part of the success when it inevitably succeeds. And so up to the market maker bot, like people are just taking these big bets. And so yeah, there was delta neutral, but it was hard to set up. And so
maybe you could just I know we Steamboat tried to do it earlier, but nothing better than the founder himself kind of like showing us how that happened. Maybe you could like quickly show your screen of like how easy. I want people to see just how easy this is, right? Which is you load something up, you literally specify how many dollars you want to basically allocate towards the strategy, and you click go, and it effectively just does it for you. I think that's very powerful. So maybe you can like bring that up.
I'm not ready for this. And also, on a side note, I have no PA. Like, I don't even trade crypto. I don't even hold Bitcoin, and that's not because I don't believe in it, but it's because I see everyone's trades, and I feel like there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
Makes sense.
yeah, it's a bit of work to set up. But yeah, kind of going back to this like idea of like why people were tired of getting liquidated. Like now you can actually participate without having to run this liquidation risk. You can participate with algo super efficiently, and you can do this both across like market making bot, which is roughly delta neutral, and also this delta neutral bot, which allows you to go and essentially balance funding rate arbs or funding rates across different exchanges. So yeah, the algos are one thing, but I think it's just like this general idea that people want to participate in projects that they think they will do well. We've given them a positive outlet to do it with the market making bot, because otherwise they'd just be wash trading. And so it becomes a huge win for the exchange itself, because the exchange also gets very thick limit order books and narrow spreads. And so yeah, all in all, it just kind of all came together. But yeah, the delta neutral bot super easy, market making bot even easier. And in a lot of ways, we took away like the hardest part about trading, which is deciding what to trade, when to get in and out, how big your bet should be, what your leverage should be. It's all gone. You just choose exchange, and then maybe a pair, and then you just press trade, and then it just happens.
No, that's super interesting. Look, I think people are farming Paradex, and people always like to, at least all this Twitter crowd, they like to act as if like, this shit doesn't stink, and everybody's farming dexes. This is the reality of the situation, right? You just gave them like a better mousetrap and like an easier way to farm dexes, and that's creating value for people. So I would say that you are no different for the perp dex line to what Pendo was when Pendo first came about. If you remember, Pendo caught product market fit not because of the interest rate stuff. It was because of the point speculation. And people were effectively using Pendo as a way to speculate on points. I don't know if you remember that, the whole PTYT thing, which I thought was super interesting, right? So it's like, again, I think it's a very similar concept to like what you described, which is they built this base infrastructure, but then the wrapper that was on it really was this thing where like you could use it to speculate about points, which had nothing to do with the interest rate protocol, kind of underlying, that was kind of like underpinning that whole thing. So again, that to me, it's very clear that like things like like treadfi add a lot of value to the ecosystem. How much volume are you guys doing now per day?
I have to check, but it's somewhere around 200 mil, and most of it's on the nascent either like perp dexes or HIP3 markets. So I think the majority of our volume is on HIP3 markets.
And you have some pretty impressive stats, right? So I don't know how much you do on Paradex, like some 50, 60 million, something like that a day.
Yeah, I think we capped out at around like 75 or 80 mil a day. So something around close to 10%.
And by the way, maybe we announce some alpha for the listeners. We'll be doing a competition with David. We just did one a week and a half ago, and we will be doing another big one coming soon. So stay tuned, and we'll basically post the details soon. And David and I have already talked about the details. We just need to implement it. So 70-80 mil a day, and you're doing, let's say, 200. So okay, glad to see Paradex is a good portion of your total volume. What are you seeing on HIP3? Is that like, like how are you seeing, what markets are people trading? What algos are they using specifically? Is it just market making algos? Is it passive only? Maybe you can give us some perspective there.
Yeah, so we didn't intend to be like the primary market maker on HIP3 markets. It was just an option, but people gravitated towards it because, as I mentioned, like this whole airdrop farming thing, it allows for people to be rewarded if they're early. And it also has to be coupled with whether the people think that this exchange or this market will succeed in the future. And when equity perps came out on HIP3, I think it was a no-brainer for everyone that this was the future of equities trading. It allows for leverage. It allows for everything that Hyperliquid offers. And so people just gravitate towards that. But what ended up happening over kind of like the first 2 weeks of our growth was no other market makers wanted to quote on weekends, because what do you do? Like, how do you quote QQQ on a weekend? You have no idea what the market is like. Theoretically, it should just move sideways until some news event happens, or at least until like the futures market opens. But people weren't really sure. And with perps, there's always like the risk of liquidations if things move too quickly. But my guys were there all weekend and every weekend since. And so
are there any price bands in place on the weekends, or is it kind of like free floating?
So we don't use a reference Oracle price necessarily. You can think of the market maker bots as looking at.
I mean on the venue side, not on your side. Like, does the venue enforce some sort of clamping in terms of how much the price can move, during off-market hours?
I think each of them have it configured differently, and they're constantly changing. And so Ventures had an update like a couple of days ago. I haven't even looked into it too carefully, but no, like they kind of determined this. But it's not like they can shut it off, because then what's the point of having an equity perps if you can't trade it during off hours?
I know Lighter, I think, does basically like on the RWA perps, I think they clamp it within some percentage of the mark or something like that, if I remember correctly. Which I think is, I think it's like, this is a very like nascent kind of like, white space of design space of what people are taking, right? I definitely think we're still in the very early stages, and you would see experimentation. But I was curious if you have an opinion on what that design should look like, because obviously you're interacting with a bunch of protocols. Do you think like, oh, this thing works or this thing does not work, or for whatever reason? I'm curious.
I'm kind of under a biased mindset, because I do think that the answer is retail market makers, at least in the beginning. Because if our guys show up on weekends and prices move sideways and books are thick even on weekends, because our guys are willing to be there for an early protocol to help the concept succeed, and eventually the takers will come in and try to take it, to take some sort of sorry, this is very the takers will start coming in because they see the liquidity. And so maybe after the market makers, the retail market makers have kind of kickstarted the cycle with the takers coming in, then other market makers will start looking at this as well, the bigger ones. And so I do think it should be a free market. That being said, some controls are necessary to make sure that it doesn't get gamed. It's much easier to have like prophylactic controls rather than remediating in the future when things are misconfigured. And so a combination of the two, but regardless, the market makers, the retail market makers who are just quoting 7 days a week, it is an essential part of how these perp dexes and new markets get started. There's been a lot of perp dexes that have come and gone in the past, and many of the ones you haven't heard of, part of the problem was like there's no liquidity. It's not that there's no volume, there's no liquidity. And so I'm sure they went around to hedge funds or prop desks saying like, hey, please use our thing, we'll give you all these benefits. But even if they wanted to trade, they couldn't trade in size because there's nothing on the limit order books. If we had the retail market makers back then, and they actually thought the exchange was differentiated enough, the team was strong, maybe the value prop in the future was good, then they'd be interested in those points and they would show up. And yeah, they'll eat some adverse selection here and there. And that's my job to try to minimize that with all of the algo configurations that I've been pushing out. But at the end of the day, if the guys showed up, maybe the future would be different and we would have different perp dexes with some sort of different features.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. I think bootstrapping liquidity for these new products is by far the hardest thing ever. Yeah. So I definitely think the value that you guys provide is pretty amazing. Like it helps you, you're basically that 0 to 1 moment for new instruments is always the toughest, because right in a two-sided marketplace, who do you incentivize and how, right? So the fact that when you launch a marketplace, there is kind of like this army of market makers, which I think you've described it like that. I think is very powerful, and for sure, like when we launch equities perps and RWA perps, we'll definitely launch a campaign with you guys, because I see this as a way to effectively jumpstart and bootstrap liquidity that otherwise would not have been there. Because it's much harder to do it kind of like, the hand-to-hand combat is much harder than if you have like a systematic way of doing it. So I see this as being super valuable in that regard as well.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be there. And I think now, as the kind of equity perp space opens up, it's going to open up a lot more opportunity for arbors to go and make sure that the prices are consistent across different exchanges. There's going to be delta neutral opportunities with funding rate arbs. So it's a very exciting place to be. And I think, once again, I think this is why my users chose the HIP3 markets to do most of the volume on, because they see the potential for this. I came from,
and in each HIPD, what are you seeing in terms of which types of markets are doing well? Is it the equity, the single name stuff, or the indices stuff? Like, where are you seeing the most activity?
it's still very early, but XYZ 100, which was the first HIP3 ticker to go live, continues to be the strongest.
That's the Nasdaq one, right?
Yeah, I think it's equivalent to like QQQ or Nasdaq 100. But the single names have also done pretty well. They kind of have the same, from like an exchange operator perspective, it does have a same nuance, which is on weekends is not expected to trade much. And so most of our volume, if you look at it on Hyperliquid, happens Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, it's kind of muted down. It's not because my users aren't using it, it's because there's no takers. And so because the market maker bot is post only, it needs takers to actually go and produce volume. So I do think that the equity perps, at least the ones that are US market traded, they end up having the same kind of nuance, which is not a lot of trading on weekends. During the week, it tracks pretty closely because people, although crypto native people may not be able to arb the price, if you have access to equity markets, you can arb it. And so you can keep the prices in line. And so that creates a very interesting market microstructure. There's a lot of people who just want crypto orthogonal returns as well. And so now, without having to move your USDC out.
What does that mean?
So like, for example, if Bitcoin goes up or down, ETH is probably going to go up or down. And then the altcoins are also probably going to go up or down, maybe by like a bigger amount. And so if you wanted to have all your money in crypto, but you wanted to construct a basket where you have some of the crypto native risk of Bitcoin moving everything else diversified away, you can now create a basket with stocks. You can create a basket with NVIDIA and Google. At the end of the day, they're all risk assets. But with all of the HIP3 markets coming out with like commodities and even just like the I can't really say with the other one, but yeah, with things like commodities and FX coming out, you can now keep all your money in crypto and in stables and in the Paradex world, and still construct a portfolio that has a lot of the crypto native stuff diversified away. And so that's really the big unlock, I think.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's super interesting. So I share this. I mean, I shared this internally in one of our chats today, which is, our vision and the way I see the industry kind of like moving forward is, if you think about what's happening now, right? If you like all the Paradex landscape, like us and Lighter and Hyperliquid, whatever. Like I think the first common enemy for DEXs is really the centralized exchanges, right? Which in the sense that you're trying to move their users over to to DEX land. And that's already happening, right? I mean, there was a trend of this migration that was underway, let's say 12 months ago. But then the incidents of October 10th and et cetera just like helped catalyze like an acceleration, right, of people from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. And so for the near term, the goal is very much to be number one within crypto, right? And by no means, and I think that's very clear, at least to the top, guys, the top dexes. But I think one interesting thing that equities perps and RWA perps, it kind of gives you a glimpse for what these crypto venues could be in the future, in the sense that Yes, right now we compete within crypto, and there's only crypto products and crypto tokens like meme coins and whatnot. But very soon we will be able to, and in some cases you can already do this, which is you can trade FX, you can trade equity perps, etc. In a way in which, let's say, if you're like a native internet user that has no exposure to any of the US equity brokerages or whatever, and traditionally you could not have had access to that thing, the perp effectively gives you access to that underlying without you needing a brokerage account and things like that, right? So the natural and the closest thing to this reality that I just described in the TradFi world is really the CFD world, if you think about it, right? The CFDs are effectively, you can have CFDs are very similar to perps in that they're basically cash settle, they're contracts for difference, they have a funding rate, right? The only difference is you face the broker instead of facing a counterparty, which is on a perp, you actually face another counterparty. And then the funding rate is very transparent and it's market driven. But in a CFD, the funding rate is effectively whatever the broker decides to charge you, right? And he can charge both the long and the short a funding rate based on their position, right? So I think, given the fact that the perps are such a powerful instrument and they're fundamentally a better instrument than CFDs, and you can create a perp on pretty much any underlying asset in the world, I think the logical next market for perp dexes to go after outside of crypto is really the CFD market. And the CFD market is so fucking huge. Like, there's like hundreds of these brokers. I'm sure you know better than I do. All the banks effectively have some sort of CFD platform, and each CFD broker or dealer does hundreds of billions of dollars a month, right? So this market is in the trillions, right? So this is another reason why I think that perp dex, like, people fundamentally think of perp dex, or at least there's a vast group of people that think that perp dexes are just another meta. And I think that's not true. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, because I'm pumping my own bags here. But the point is that I think that perp dexes are really that breakout killer app where you effectively, by virtue of this instrument, which is the perp, and by virtue of self-custody and transparency, you can now offer a credible alternative to a living TradFi product, which is a CFD. And this product is fundamentally better. Right, and especially if you go to these users and you say, hey, by the way, you don't have to worry about custody, you don't have to worry about funding because it's all transparent, and by the way, I'm zero fees, and now you can trade effectively the same instrument and even more liquid. I think that's going to be a fucking game changer, right? And so for us, it's very clear that this is where the future is. And I see a couple of people asking in the chat, like, when are we adding this? And the answer is very soon, because we share this vision of accelerating towards this future where we're not just competing with crypto names, but also TradFi names.
Yeah, I think you missed like the biggest thing, at least in my mind, which is leverage. The retail leverage is very hard to get.
But CFDs also give pretty good leverage, right? So it's not like
it's with funding. I mean, with perps, you can get paid to get some leverage.
Exactly.
That's like a crazy concept. Yeah.
Exactly. That's and it's transparent, right? It's a market-driven funding rate, and that's effectively that gives you that. I mean, CFDs, to be fair to the CFD world, I think the CFD experience is pretty good, right? Overall, like the market has evolved to this place where the brokers can't really like completely like rape your clients, right? Because otherwise they'll just move to another platform. So competition kind of keeps you in check a little bit. But fundamentally, it's kind of built on these inequities, which is, you face the broker. The broker has all your funds, so you have custody risk. You don't have transparency into how the funding rate is determined, right? They see basically you are their counterparty. And so effectively their incentive is to make the most money from you versus an exchange, which is really like an agency function versus a principal function, right? So I think this is like, these are game-changing things that now we can enable for these CFD guys. So yeah, no, I was curious, like, did you, are you thinking about it this way as well? Or are you, do you have some sort of different vision for the future?
So I've been on the cash equity side. I wasn't too much on the derivatives. But in the cash equity side, one of the biggest problems is leverage. It's the risk that comes with leverage. Hedge funds, if they want to go 10x on stocks, they're pretty much going 10x on on spot. And so you have to get 10x leverage from JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, and they charge you a rate for that. And that whole world is called like prime brokerage. But the perps world pretty much internalizes all of that so that you can get leverage directly in the actual exchange, as opposed to having to front the money. And if you ever wondered like where your 1% savings or like 1% rate that you get on your savings account at JP Morgan Chase comes from, ultimately it comes from like lending to these hedge funds and these bigger asset managers, so that they can go get leverage on stocks. And so you only get 1%, although the hedge funds pay 8, because there's a lot of people that kind of like take a cut. But perps, if you think about it, just eliminates all of that. It is a bit of a PvP, but with enough people, it becomes a PvE type of exchange, where if you do want to get leverage, you can get it. You get liquidated with the set rules, and you have to pay a funding rate, which often kind of looks very similar to like a prime brokerage lending, borrowing rate, except you don't have to set up anything with your prime broker. In fact, if you think about crypto, there's not a lot of real prime brokers out there, because there was never a need to. Actually, the biggest prime broker in Binance, in crypto, is probably Binance, because they're giving all these hedge funds like 10x portfolio margin leverage. So yeah, I think crypto ended up evolving in this way because of perps. But if you think about, aside from all the on-chain stuff, which is so much better than all the manual kind of oversight and back office work that happens in TradFi, aside from that, I think perps really revolutionized how easy these markets can come up, how easy you can get leverage, and of course, like, add in everything with crypto, add in the fact that perp dexes themselves are oftentimes decentralized and can do a lot of permissionless stuff and have self-custody. It's fintech 3.0 on steroids, and I think it is kind of the ultimate vision. It's everything in crypto kind of came up to this point, and maybe perps is not the perfect product, and maybe there could be something else, but it's the one that exists, and it's one that's ready to go to scale now. And the HIP3 markets and all the equity perps are just, and the success of it are just demonstrating that we can put anything and trade it as a perp, and it's going to add value. And so
there's definitely issues we still need to solve, like the funding rate, volatility, and things like that, right? Because so it's by no means like, a done deal. There's still a lot of work to do, but I fully agree with the premise that it's like, that's like 2%, right? 98%, we're already there. We just, we need to go through this last mile and solve these like teething issues. But yeah, super bullish, man. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know we also need to cut to another segment, but thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate again, congratulations on the success. Thanks for taking the time. And then, yeah, definitely looking forward to doing more with you. And if this fucking thing could stop going off.
Yeah, it is a bit scary on my side, because everything just goes dark. But no, thanks a lot for having me. And of course, we're gonna keep building on TradFi. I'd like to remind everyone, although we're kind of 3 years old as a company, a lot of what we're doing with the retail side, it's at most 2 months old, and so it's just the beginning for us. I would say like the past 2 weeks, a lot of growing pains, because the number of users on our server went up like 100x or something like that. So obviously we had to take a little bit of a break to make sure.
How many users now? On a daily active basis, like how many users are trading?
So I have a dashboard for that, but I can't even load it because there's so many orders. The last thing I checked was there's been roughly about 50,000 market maker bots that were created, and this is mostly in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, and so, but it's not a lot of users. That's the thing. Like, we've been very keen.
It's single. This idea that people are supercharging themselves and launching multiple bots, right? So yeah, like again, it's like you're supercharging these like ordinary people who traditionally don't have the access to tools for access, which makes sense.
Well, I don't think of them as supercharging, as opposed to the institutional guys already have these tools. We're just going and bring them up to that level that has always existed, but was just not.
You're democratizing access. Let's use the nice flashy word, which is you're democratizing access, right? Which is fantastic. I mean, crypto is all about that, right? Democratization of access to opportunity. So it makes total sense.
This is only possible in crypto, because even if I built a bot for this for NYSE or NASDAQ, there's no retail user that can send the order directly to NYSE or NASDAQ. If you haven't noticed, maybe you can put a limit order in through Interactive Brokers or E-Trade or something, but that has to go through a registered broker dealer who has a seat on the exchange. So it's only possible in crypto that we can give out these tools and they're able to connect their Paradex account directly to it and send orders directly in. It's a level of abstraction that is essentially served by broker dealers, so guys like Citadel Securities or Goldman Sachs and TradFi. But with the right technology and the right setup in crypto, we don't really need that. And so only possible in crypto. I get that question a lot. This is like from actually like VCs who are like, this sounds really good, but why has no one ever done this for stocks? Try. Like ask NYSE what their API looks like. Ask them what their IP address is. That's not how it works. So
one last question, I guess, before you go, which is when airdrop?
Oh, I don't know. Like I get that question a lot, but a month ago, no one even knew what TreadFi was. And I know our metrics are all up, but I do think that there's a lot of room to grow. And so all I can say is when I made season 1, it was there were some people who said like you shouldn't set an end date for this, but I made it 6 months. And so that's what I had some thoughts when I did that. But that being said, no one knows what's going to happen, including myself. This is all new to me. So yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we'll leave it at that. But thanks again for joining. And yeah, I know, Dan, you want to cut us into the next segment? Menno, what up, my boy?
Good afternoon, Fiddy. Can you hear me?
Good morning, my friend. Yes, I'm good. I can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
Nice. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm a bit early, sleepy, but jet lagged, but pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, you are doing a world tour, right?
Yeah. The team has been grinding last like 2 or 3 weeks now. I think we've done China, we've done Korea, we've done some parts of Southeast Asia, and Europe last week and last week and a half, and then now this week we're in the US. I'm only in the US and trying to do as much as I can. Actually, I don't know if you know this, Menno, but we Paradigm was originally founded in New York. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, to be honest. No.
Yeah. So actually, where I'm staying now is not too far away from on my apartment, which is literally like across the street. So I used to live on Wall Street. Our office was also on Wall Street, and so yeah, it's good to be back in the neighborhood and trying to meet our old friends and partners and
back
getting them
roots,
excited.
no?
Yeah, back to the roots and getting them excited for TGE. So it's really nice to be back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I just published a write-up on what Paradex achieved in November, and I mean, like it's been a pretty crazy month, I must admit. I was writing this piece, and I was like, "How long am I gonna go?" It was but it's also with your from your talk with David from TreadFi, it's like there's a lot of stuff happening on all fronts, and just this world tour is just one demonstration of everything that's going on. It's lots of integrations, partnerships, and yeah, it's great to see, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I think 6 months ago, it was very clear that we were so heads down, in the trenches, really trying to just work on the infrastructure and then the platform. Obviously, picking a ZK stack, and particularly in Cairo, has been very challenging, at least in the beginning. Now it's really turned from being like a instead of a crutch, or it not a crutch, I guess. Before it felt like a disadvantage, but now it's really turning into really like the sharp sword that's really allowing us to penetrate all these like the new frontier that we're kind of embarking on, right? But at that point we realized that wow, we've been so head down that we've not really had the time to kind of look into getting the word out about our story, right? And I think I remember having a conversation with, it was you or Laz, but kind of like admitting that to you guys and saying, oh no, trust me, for the next 6 months, now that most of these infrastructure kind of like core problems are kind of behind us, my job is 100% going to be on kind of activating this mindshare machine, right? And so all the stuff you're seeing, particularly over the last month or 2 months, has really been the efforts that we started really, let's say 6 or 7 months ago, that are really now coming to fruition, and that's really good to see. Also, we've had some really amazing, shout out to the team, specifically the Mindshare team, Arjun and Wardy, and all these Dan and Yuka Steamboat, all you guys working behind the scenes, Nicholas. You guys have really come together and given us this new kind of boost, new engine that we didn't really have before, right? And you're seeing that. So shout out to the team. But trust me, this is just the beginning. What you're seeing now, if you thought November was big, December is going to be even bigger, and Jan is going to be absolute bananas, and it's going to be the big bazookas. We're going to be bringing them out, right? But before we talk about those, Mano, what were your like favorite things over the last, let's say, a couple of weeks, or that you've seen, right? Because I know we were also waiting for this stuff for a long time because of 14.0, and I can go into that. But what have been the things that excited you the most over the last, let's say, month or so?
Well, for me, it was actually the biggest bullish thing that that's really not really that noticeable, but for me, long term, is like the foundation is real solid right now. If you compare Paradex now with like 6 months ago, it's like almost a different ballpark, So I think the foundation is laid to really push towards the next 6 to 12 months to really upgrade Paradex on all fronts, release new features. It's like the trading experience became even better, and I really have the feeling now that we can really build upon on this platform, create hype, and get people on board. I mean, like, I liked it from the beginning, so I first traded on Paradex like 11 or 12 months ago, and I liked it right from the start. But most of what I was interested in was like the potential the platform had, but also the potential that I saw in you and the team. And I really feel like that potential has come to fruition. And I think the go-to-market and distribution strategy from here on out will be way easier, because the product is like really solid. It's like a real good competitor, and that's what excites me the most. And in the background, we have all these exciting things like TGE is coming up. We have privacy perps coming up in December. We have the order book speed update just upgraded 2 days ago, I believe. It's all these things are running in tandem, and it's like it's leveling up, and it comes to a point like it's inevitable, and then we can just shout it from the rooftop, and people will hear about us and will definitely on board. That's my vision.
No, man, I appreciate you all the stuff you mentioned is like your attention to detail is quite impressive, because yes, there is a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people really don't see all these like little things that we're doing, like the little things, the big things. So I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, it's not been, the last 3 months have really been a massive unlock, because V2 for us was a really, really big upgrade, right? It was not just the chain, which is a monster effort in itself, but also the cloud and the backend, the entirety of the core backend systems that we have, which is the cloud system, which is like the order management system, et cetera, the position manager, the transaction service. All of that is also getting a complete overhaul, right? And so, like, when you talk about internet scale markets, right, it's this, given this kind of like unlock that's happened with the chain and the cloud and now the UI, effectively it's like it's all come together really perfectly to kind of unlock that, that next scale, which is truly like, how do we enable internet scale markets for any asset in the world, right? And that is really fucking exciting. Honestly, I've never been more excited. Obviously I've been doing this very long, first with Paradigm and now with Paradex. It's been, really, obviously on the one side, it's been really challenging, and obviously we're all really tired from just grinding, through like 6 or 7 bear markets at this point. but I couldn't be more excited, right? Because for the first time, it feels that this dream that we have of really enabling, this vision of trade anything with anyone and settle instantly, this is not possible, right? With you literally pick up the app, and the app is also looking really good. And once we add RWA perps and equity perps, at that point, you effectively, it's one-click access to any financial asset in the world, right? And that is, I mean, that is the dream. That is why I started building Paradigm. Is eventually I wanted it to be this company that touches basically every single person in the world, right? And for me, it's always been about unlocking financial freedom, specifically for countries like India, obviously where I grew up, but also everywhere that there's censorship and there's people freezing your accounts, and it's just you have so much uncertainty about your money. That's one, but also it's just there's all these gatekeepers to financial opportunity, right? Where like, okay, if I want to invest in NVIDIA, I need to go to a broker and a brokerage account, and those brokers need to ask me, go, where'd your money come from, and this and that, and like ordinary people from the rest of the world don't really have access, right? So that part is now, it's not just within reach, it's like we're already there, like you said, like the platform is now solid, and now it's just a matter of fine-tuning these parameters, over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 months. And boom, man, it's super exciting. So yeah, no, thank you also for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like I tell people, you see a lot of perp dexes pop up in this space, especially since the perp dex meta is here. So there's a lot of money to be made. Yeah, but you also see some grifters enter the space, and it's like, some perp dexes or some platforms or some projects in crypto in general, they focus on the short-term gains. It's like they know if we can get to market quickly, if we can pump the metrics, we can profit from it. And I really like the approach Paradex has. It's like it has to be a long-term project. Yeah, we don't focus on short-term gains. Of course, we all want, and the team want, and you want a good TGE at a good valuation, but the focus is building a platform long-term, providing value to users long-term, and really build this DeFi dream. Like we talk about DeFi super centers often, but it's like people, you just want to do everything in one app that you normally have to sign in to different platforms for. I think that's the basic underlying of a DeFi supercenter, and that's what I really like. So I'm going to be firing on all cylinders in the next at least 2 to 3 months to TGE. I think I can definitely tell the community that the team is firing on all cylinders for the coming months, and it's going to be insane. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Even if people were thinking like there was not that much going on for the past 2 months from their point of view, behind the scenes, there's so much going on the platform side, on the UI overhaul side. So even if it looks like not much is going on, I mean, like everybody is just hyped up. They're grinding.
One thing you can be guaranteed, man. Like we're a team that loves to grind, right? Like there's it's like you don't need to tell anybody that like, hey, you need to be grinding. It's just like everybody loves to be here, and they just fundamentally love to work and build stuff for the community. Hold on one sec. So man,
I think
I'm staying in this hotel, and like this sensor all just keeps going off. It's fucking annoying. But no, that's for sure, man. And like the upcoming catalysts, I think. Well, there's 2 things I want to say. One is like you talked about this DeFi dream. I really love the words that you use there, because in my mind it is that, right? It's this dream where you can lift up your phone, like any person in the world can lift up your phone, pick up your phone, open the Paradex app, literally type, like if you've heard about, oh, NVIDIA is rallying, or oh, have you heard about Dogecoin, or have you heard about prediction markets, or have you heard, oh, by the way, if there's this election and now you can bet on this election. There's one singular app that you can literally pick up. You can search for what you want or what you're thinking about, that you can express that intent, and once you express that intent, boom, the market is immediately available to you, and you can participate in the market with the click of a button, right? That used to be a dream like let's say a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, today it's possible. Like, you know, today it's already possible with all crypto assets from, you know, and Paradex. I think that's one of the things I'm really bullish about for Paradex is like, I don't think people fully value the value of unified margin, which is you have a single account where you can do spot, perps, options, prediction markets, borrow, lend, everything from the same account. You don't have to jump margin pools. I see a bunch of other people, you know, now trying spot and perps, but they're fundamentally different accounts. You don't get the capital efficiency of having everything from a single account, right? That dream is now, it's not just within reach. We're like, it's like right here, right? It's like it's right in front of you. And to us who have been grinding for so long, for it to be this real, this quick and this close, it's something that honestly in the office, like, you know, in the team, it's like you can feel that buzz, right? Everybody is just like they're hooked on, they're like plugged into this thing, and they're like, wow, like this is no more, you know, we've been grinding it out for so long that, you know, you tend to forget sometimes, but then the fact that now you can see this is truly amazing. So yeah, I just wanted to basically share that, because it really is this transition from being a dream to finally being a reality, and then reality being, you know, right, we can feel and touch it now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the hard part is to really sell people on a dream that seems far away. You know, it's hard to sell people on the idea. So basically what I try to do, and what I think the short term, you onboard people through perp futures and perp options, and from there on they get excited about the product and they see the vision as well. They see the long-term vision. I think that's also why Paradex has a really core set of users that's really loyal. They believe in this vision too, and they see where Paradex is going. They know that the tech, the choice of using of building on your own app chain with Starknet was a difficult one in the beginning. I believe it was a headache. I mean, like I still see Sergey on a YouTube video early 2024, like he's saying like, the gas costs and execution time, and I don't know what's up, but it was like, it was a pain. So if you compare that to what it has become, it's like, it's insane. So I think 2026, I'm hyped for 2026. I can't wait, to be honest. And yeah, let's get at it.
No, that's for sure, man. That's for sure. So, you know, to give some, you know, we've said, I think I made the announcement a couple of weeks ago about like the roadmap, right? And since then, you know, we've been we were blocked for a long time because of 14.0. We really couldn't release anything because fundamentally, you know, it's just the way basically engineering works. It's just like sometimes, you know, to release, you know, feature, you know, C and D cannot be released without feature A. There's this dependency on the stack that you've chosen and the branches and so on and so forth, right? And so from the roadmap I posted, I think this was on, you know, 11th of November or 8th of November. Basically there's already a huge number. So the two mobile, the desktop, so the UI 2.0 and the 14.0 upgrade, it is both done. The latency improvements actually will go out this week. So basically by Friday, you should have, you know, kind of phase one of the latency improvements. You won't actually see the improvements right away, but then by Monday or Tuesday next week, you should see our basically P95, all this tail latency, which right now is basically above 250 to 500 milliseconds, especially during, you know, the peak load times. That number should go down to below 50, right? And all of this was a huge part of, you know, why we invested in building this was October 10th. Right, that was basically like Black Friday. Insane shit happened. You know, thankfully we didn't have downtime, and you know the damage was not anywhere nearly as bad as what it was on the exchanges. But we knew that, like, hey, in crypto you don't get second chances, right? If this happened once, that means another black swan is probably lurking around the corner. And if we don't invest in basically, you know, future-proofing the exchange for the next 100x. You know, in many cases, we actually saw 100x increase in throughput and activity and things like that. We knew that, you know, it would not basically stand the test of time. So we invested in it, and of course, you know, we're very happy to say that, like, you know, V2 is effectively will be complete by middle of next week, and that's really a big shout out to the team. The team has been grinding nonstop, as you've been saying, behind the scenes, and you know, I could not be more proud to work with these guys. But with that said, December is got even bigger updates, right? We got you know, a couple of things that have been really nagging me. We've been, you know, TPSL for whatever reason, we just keep having like these edge case issues. Most of those were fixed, let's say a couple months ago, but we still, just the foundational design of it, we basically reviewed it over the last, let's say, 2 weeks, and effectively Johannes is one of our lead engineers. He's completely rewriting the thing, right? And so by the end of the month, we should be in really, really great shape. So from an execution experience, so I made it so that, we have this like super team internally of Johannes, MJ, which you guys kind of interact with in the chat sometimes. But their mission is to make the trading experience the absolute best trading experience in the world, right? And like I'm on them literally every single day. And I don't need to be on them because they're honestly, both of them are super driven, and they want to compete and they want to win, and that's really exciting, inspiring. But part of that core trading experience has different dimensions. It has the TPSL functionality. It has the max slippage functionality. By the way, we just rolled out some changes on max slippage issues, and our error rates have gone down massively. And you should see this in the complaints now, that or at least there'll be a very low amount of complaints going forward, and that was released as of a couple of days ago. But then beyond that, it's also faster position updates and mark price updates, so that it basically feels instant. Like the goal internally is to make every interaction feel like it is less than 100 milliseconds, because 100 milliseconds is that threshold above which, basically that's the threshold at which humans feel real time, right, psychologically. And so our goal is to make sure that every single interaction you have on the platform, whether that's an order book interaction, whether that's a clicking interaction, whether those mark price updates, it should all feel like super, super instant, right? So by the end of the month, I think we should be, even in a way better place than we are today, and just kind of ready for 2026, and especially as we roll out RWAs, and then once we get the core trading experience down, which shouldn't take more than, let's say, a month and a half. Then after that, we will roll out equity perps, rapid fire equity perps, FX perps, etc., and try to be, and as many assets as possible as soon as possible, right? So that's basically the high level. And of course, privacy perps is coming on. As of now, it's tentatively scheduled for December 15th. Don't hold me to it. If there's a couple of days here and there, but high confidence that we should, have something, middle of the month, and that again, that'll be a really big unlock, because at that point, we will be the only zero-fee perp DEX with privacy, which again, no one else has today, right? So again, something, I think we're very excited to roll out.
Yeah, that's big, and especially if you, like we've all seen the stuff on Hyperliquid with people being hunted down. Like it's just a must-have at this point, I think, for DEX.
Yep.
And if not at this point, I definitely think in the near future it's going to be a must. So I think the team is really pushing hard. I would encourage anyone, if you have any feedback on trading experience, just drop it in the Discord. I and the team are very welcoming to feedback. We really appreciate what you think, and let's grind these next 2 months. I wish you the best in the US, man. Have a good trip, and excited for December, excited for January, and excited for 2026 for sure.
Yeah, likewise. Let's let's bring Steamboat. I know Steamboat has a couple of things you want to talk about, but before that, I want to do a quick shout. So Steamboat, if you want to come on stream, I know there's something special you want to reveal to people. We need to open this gift that the community is basically given to us, right? Which I think people are going to be really, really happy to see.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, if you guys maybe caught it on Twitter. So Mashi.dime, he kind of did this very special artwork for us. Okay, so he has his own video where he was showing how this artwork was made. It's extremely painstaking. It probably took him like 6-7 hours or more, and he mailed it to us. So I'm going to open it right now. I got my pair of scissors. I'm just going to cut this safely, and we're going to unveil this artwork. You can hear the tearing.
But you're so dramatic, bro.
I know. But it's gorgeous.
Like cut the thing safely and whatnot. I love it though. It's your personality. I love it.
Okay, so as you can see, it's taking shape. It looks like something very familiar to you guys.
All right.
So still kind of
Is it?
wrapped up, right? You can kind of see who
Oh.
or what this is.
That's
Yeah?
Dave.
That's Dave, exactly. So now I'm going to cut it up really carefully because this thing might be
That's
a
the
little
that's the Greek god, Dave. That's like the Rob that's like that was Rob inspired.
This is the original version of Dave as a god.
Yeah.
So just give me 10 seconds and I would have this in its full glory. Look at it. Look at it. And we're going to be sharing the post that Mashi did of how this thing came to life. I'm going to briefly talk about it as I show you guys on camera what this is. So if you look very carefully from the camera, you would see that
Whoa.
this is made up of little nails and threads, very painstakingly designed. He had
Holy
to
shit.
draw
It literally is nails hammered into wood and then there's thread wrapped around it. Is that right?
exactly. But he had to draw it out first, design it, put the nails in its exact positions, and then there's
Wow.
probably some science to the threading because if you look at it, it's very straight and very clean, right? It's all one direction. So there was a
Amazing.
lot of thought and planning around this piece of art.
Honestly, dude, I'm like consistently blown away by the love that people show us, right? In chats, in the stuff they send us. Dave, for whatever reason, has really resonated with people, right? And like, yeah, like just look at him. Like he's such a lovable character too. It's just like it's like in many ways, Dave is like part of us and we're all part of him, right? It's just and that was the inspiration behind how Dave was built too. And maybe we talk about it on another stream. But I want to say thank you, Mashi. You know, not only did you send us the stuff, but I know you consistently are a big supporter of the platform and the stream, and you send me these amazing messages about how involved you are in Paradex and how Paradex is, you know, you love Paradex. And, you know, as a founder, that is fucking special, man. Like it really, really feels, you know, because we put in so much of our time to making this thing a reality. And obviously there's a bunch of like hate and stuff out in the world, but every once in a while, you know, to listen to the stuff you guys send and the gifts you guys, you know, give us, I really appreciate that. So thank you, right? And thank you from all of us. Yeah, that's right. You got Dave on your t-shirt too. That's amazing.
So,
perfect.
Fidi, just to put it out there for everyone to hear, you know, make it live, I am going to be sending Mashi some nice merch on the house.
Sweet.
Okay.
Sweet.
Approved.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it, man. Totally deserves it. And yeah, we should make a wall internally, right, with all the fan art that we have, because there's other stuff people have sent us too. So we should just create like a section in the office,
like a shrine, and then Dave's head will be there.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Dan, is that it for today, or do we have anything else on the cards?
We got a few closing segments to just finish off the stream.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll take it away, you guys.
All right.
Oh shit. We talked about an AMA, right? But okay, maybe we can do a quick AMA. I think that'll be good. So if you guys want to post messages in the chat, you know, I'll be happy to sort of like read them. So guys, go for it. Yeah, Steamo. In the meantime, you can you know, cut to the segments, and you know, as the questions come in, I can answer.
Yeah, sure thing, man. So some of the closing segments that we wanted to just touch on are just some updates from our global tour. So Nick is coming up to talk about the Euro tour, and I'm going to be sharing about the China tour very, very briefly. So as I'm sharing, please post your questions. VD is here. So for the China tour, one thing I want to say is it's really exciting because it feels like we have just, you know, we went in and we are poking the dragon, and now the dragon has taken notice of us. And what's exciting is we now understand what resonates with the Chinese community, and we have made some very, very key partnerships. So just to share a few highlights, some of the things that really resonated with the Chinese is reputation, longevity, and liquidity. So reputation was something that was interesting because we were just sharing history of Paradex, making the connections with Paradigm, Paradex, leadership team, and they're like, oh shit, they are the ones that went through all that. They're the ones that survived. They're the ones that are now building Paradex. So reputation was a very big thing. And I mean, obviously Chinese, right? Like it's a big part of the culture. Then we talk about longevity. So interestingly, first slides and last slides were the most connecting. So we were talking about our plans, our roadmap post TGE, and they were all like, okay, interesting, because most projects, they have plans up to TGE, and the Chinese, I mean, pun intended, I guess, they're all farmers, and a lot of them are farmers. So what they are trying to do is get the tokens, and they're always worried that, you know, it's going to go to zero. They're not going to be able to make money from it. But they seem to be a bit more reassured with our roadmap, because they know that when they invest in Paradigm, when they are Paradex, and when they put their money into the trading platform and they get the rewards, they are more assured that we are going to be sustainable and are going to be there for the long term. And then the last point, liquidity, that's a topic for another time. And so one thing to look out for in the Chinese market is that we have already signed a very strategic media partner. So one of the feedback that we got is that people are not able to see local content in local languages like Mandarin. So that has been solved. So in the next few days, you will start seeing a lot more native Chinese language media content. And I think that's when people are going to be able to understand and find out a lot more about Paradex. So China trip was extremely, extremely fruitful. And it's just the beginning. We only just poked the dragon, you know, now we need to bring the dragon over to our side. Yeah, okay. So next, we're going to have Nick to come on and share about the Euro trip. I think it's a bit different from how the China trip was planned, because there was a mix of these.
Actually, there's a nice question from Cherry, which I think I'll answer. So he says, look, seems like Fidi, you promised a lot of stuff a few months ago for roadmap, but so far it's been very little progress. Can you give us some time to update? So I don't know whether you listened to what I said earlier, Cherry, but over the last, let's say, month or so, we've basically done some massive upgrades, right? So we have 14.0, which I don't think people appreciate this, that like 14.0 was it's basically we're upgrading our entire blockchain, right? Like, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's like how big that endeavor was and how long it took us is because remember, think of it as like you're changing your engine while you're mid-flight. You're changing both your engines while you're mid-flight, in a plane, right? So that's just the chain. On top of that, we changed obviously all this work that we're doing on the latency stuff, which again is all behind the scenes stuff. You're not seeing it. It mainly affects the API traders and of course the UI stuff you saw. But in addition to that, by the end of December, you should have TPSL updates. You should have the MLAC slippage issues, isolated margin. Hopefully we can get that in as well. And then after that, spot, right? So we're on track to basically hit all of those. The couple of things from the roadmap I had published, let's say a few months ago, that we intentionally deferred are specifically portfolio margin and dated options, right? And the reason is, well, there's twofold reason. One is October 10th happened, and that was completely changed the trajectory for us, right? We realized that, wow, the users are here. We don't need to go fight for users anymore. They're already here, but they need a platform that's reliable and that can scale and that can basically, they're assured that nothing's going to happen, like ADL and things like that will not happen the next time you see a rally or there's lots of market volatility. So it was very clear that rather than pursue new avenues of growth, such as updated options and things like portfolio margin, we needed to basically stabilize the ship, and not just stabilize it, build it so that it can handle the next 100x scale for perps. And so it's not that those things are not coming, but it was more like a strategic decision for us to basically focus on things that basically scale an existing product that already has product market fit, which is perps, and get ready for the next 100x, which we think is around the corner, especially post TGE. Once the token is out, I think it's going to be bananas because the token itself acts as marketing. And I think you're going to see a lot more attention on the project, and our volumes are going to continue to rise, right? So we knew that this was an eventuality, and we needed to basically get ourselves ready for this eventuality. And then once this thing happens, very quickly we can move back to dated options. So in the grand scheme of things, the two things that we really haven't delivered on are really, it's not that we've not been able to, it's been more of like a strategic kind of a decision to say, no, actually it's our time to focus, and specifically on perps, and specifically on RWA perps and spot and things like that are going to come, and you should see a lot more coming on that front going forward. So yeah, so that I've covered this before, but since you brought it up, I figured would be a good time to cover that again. Okay, I mean, there's other some really. Do I love dogs? I love dogs. I already have a dog. Her name's Daisy. She's my first babe. She's my first baby, and we absolutely love. So yeah, animals. I love all animals. So yes, we are big animal lovers here.
It might be the alpha for the female version of Dave. So the female version of Dave might be called Daisy.
Yeah, exactly. There's a follow-up question. Seems like all of that and Spot is coming. No, Spot is not coming in December. I mean, please read the docs. Come on, Cherry. Like, you can do better here. Not the docs. Read the announcement. I literally made the announcement, and I just said to you that like all this stuff will happen in December, except for Spot. Spot will come probably mid to late Jan, just before TGE. Obviously, we're all getting ready for TGE. That is the number one goal. We want to make sure that nothing comes in between now until then, and we basically are in time, right? So we're all racing away to make that happen. You will probably see it on testnet before, and that will be a really good indication of how ready we are and when that will happen. But Spot is definitely not coming in December. We have too many other things to get out of the way before. The biggest one being Privacy Perps, which is coming in mid-December. Okay, there's another one. When will Paradex be able to break into the billionaire club in terms of open interest? That's a good question. I think we're about 150 million TVL now, 400 million OI, roughly 400 million OI, and I think we're doing about $1 billion a day in volume or very close to that. Some alpha for you guys. I think our biggest relationships yet in terms of liquidity and volumes, we've actually not played those yet. And those are coming start of the year. It is basically the full weight of the Paradigm relationship that we have that is coming in January. So I think once that's here, you're going to see a massive unlock in liquidity across all pairs, not just for Perps, but for Spot as well. And then once that happens, I don't, 1 billion OI, 500 million TBL, I don't think that should be too far away, because at that point it will be, I want to build it. I want to get us to a place where there should be zero reason why you pick any other exchange, right? Like literally, the product should be so fucking good. The core product experience should be so good, and you should have zero spread, zero fees, such that it is like you'd be stupid to go anywhere else, right? And until I reach that point, I am not stopping. Right, and the first of these kind of unlocks is happening in Jan, and so at that point you will really start to see some of what I'm talking about, which is spreads are going to basically come in not just for majors but also for alts, right? And I've always believed, and I know this, that the lifeblood of crypto is alts. So if we don't have great alt liquidity, you basically don't have an exchange, because it's very easy to build liquidity in BTC and ETH, and you see a bunch of people saying, "Oh, look at how great my liquidity is on BT." Like, it doesn't really matter, because right now there's so much kind of like incentivization via points and rebates and things like that, that like it's does this stand the test of time post TGE? I think not, right? And for that, you actually need a scalable business model, and you need a scalable platform. And I think we've, out of all the DEXs out there, I think we're one of the very few that have made really big strides on the long-term sustainable business model, not just the short-term. And you will see this post TG as well. Okay, so I think Spot testnet, yeah, when it's live, you guys should be able to participate. I think meme coin launched long ago. Yeah, so the meme coin is definitely a part of the Spot launch. We want to do this as a way to test Spot. So when we do launch Spot, this sequence of events will be the meme coin first, and then Spot, the Dime, kind of like very, very soon after that, right? So, and again, all of that should be in fairly quick succession, but the meme coin is coming first. That's right. What other questions? Yeah, I think that's basically it. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Steamboat.
All right, man. Then let's bring on Nick.
Hey guys.
Looking good. So Nick, tell us more about the Euro trip that you guys were on, man. I guess since you stay in Europe, so I mean it continues for you.
Yeah, like it's a Euro trip. I'm based in London, so for me not so unusual. But yeah, Rob was coming from Singapore. Basically, in the span of 5 days, we went from Zurich. I think we did less than 24 hours in Zurich. Then we went to Amsterdam for a couple of days, then London, and finally I ended up in Paris to do a small community event. So very exciting times. Obviously, most of the trip was focused on institutions because we have lots of them because of the Paradigm business, but also on Paradex, we have lots of Insti guys. So think about market makers, trading firms, and also some hedge funds who are active on Paradex based in all of those cities. So yeah, it just was a good moment to catch up with everyone, tell them more about the TG and post TG plans, update everyone on the roadmap and on things that are going to happen on Paradex. And also it's always good to get like a good pulse of the market to see what the guys are thinking about, which other venues they are trading on. It's always better to get some face-to-face time because it's easier to discuss important stuff than on Google Meet calls and stuff like that. We also did some community event in Amsterdam. So Menno, who was previously on the live, was there. Also very cool to see the Discord guys and the local community in real life and to share some beers. And yeah, it was a very exhausting week, obviously, but like also for me, it was very cool to spend more time with Rob, and obviously it's kind of get the motivation pumping because you can see everybody you see is quite excited about what's going on. The team has been grinding, as Fidi said, like everybody is in the trenches for at least a year now, but people have been in the trenches for longer than that. It's the last stretch before TG, so people are grinding as hard as they can, and you can feel the energy everywhere you go. So that was a cool trip.
So Nick, one last question. Which city is next for you? Where in the world can people see you next?
It's definitely London. I'm in London. There will be a small community event next week in London. I think we shared the link. I will share it again soon. And then not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe Abu Dhabi. Still discussing that internally because there are some people that are going to be there. But in Europe, maybe Malta, maybe Cyprus, maybe Roma too. Some people have been asking for an Italy trip, so it's still yet to be decided. But yeah, some plans in the making.
Exciting times for you, Nick. All right, let's go.
Yeah. If I can add one more thing though, next way to see me is online. Actually, it's on Friday. And to get back to some of the points, and I think one of the questions asked earlier was about 1 billion OI. I will be having a stream in French, so for the French speaker only. Maybe you can use AI to translate. But we will do a French stream with the guys running Funding View, which is one of the best platforms to see the funding arbitrage, and basically run people into what are the delta neutral strategies you can do, funding arbitrage. And also one very important thing is what makes Paradex one of the best platforms to run delta neutral strategies. So Friday, 6 p.m. Paris time, when TV will host that, I will share the link as well.
Awesome, Nick. Thank you so much. So we were supposed to end this off with a recruitment drive because of that interesting video that we saw from one of our recruiters getting an interview with a North Korean disguised with AI as a digital person. But I don't know if we are able to play that full clip. But if not, we just want to give a shout out to anybody who has contacts with extremely good devs. They're looking for all kinds of devs, infrastructure, security, quant developers. We're even hiring for BD as well. So there's a lot of job opportunities at Paradex. And one of the things that I want to share with you guys is that, thank you, Dan. If you go to this page right now, which is paradex.trade/careers, you can see some of the referral programs at the bottom. So there's a link that shows you all the open positions. And for anyone in the community who has good connections, or maybe you guys are good talents as well, apply for the job, get your friend to apply for your job. There is a referral bounty. You know, if you are able to recommend good talents and they actually secure the role with Paradex. So if you help us, we help you, man. So this is just a short little shout out at the end of the stream to do a little recruitment drive. So as you can see, that there are many roles available. I won't go through everything. Remember, the page is paradex.trade/careers. Check it out. All right. And do we have Arjun or Dan to come on and close the stream, or will I be closing it? I'm also kind of alone right now. I miss you guys, man.
Yo.
We're here. We're here. We showed up.
Yo.
Hey, the boys are back.
Dan is finally here.
No crew. Yeah.
We really miss you guys. Damn it.
Yeah, we're all out of town. Yeah. Paradex is based in Singapore, but some of us travel, all right?
All right. So that's it for today's stream. Any last words not last words, any final comments or points from you guys?
Yeah, I think the final comments would be that a bunch of you guys asked some really good questions in the treadfi stream, in the FIDI AMA, and since you asked such great questions, we will be DMing you some treadfi codes that you can use to run the bots. And I think that's it. Any closing words from you, Dan?
Yeah, feel free to apply for Paradex. Make sure you said Dan referred you. That might get you a little boost.
Good one. Damn it.
And let me just front run these guys and get that referral commission.
Shit. I didn't
All right. It's been fun. I'm good. Okay,
No.
all three of us. We'll split it.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good, man.
All right, and we'll catch you guys Friday because we'll be talking about XP then.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you guys then.
Now enjoy this recruitment video and we'll see you later.
We have it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
that's better. How are you?
Yeah, how do you? Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm very well.
Thanks for asking.
No worries. Where are you based?
Oh, I based in Yerevan in Armenia.
Armenia.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thanks for taking some time to speak to me today.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Good. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing? You're at where? ZKP?
Yeah. I'm in the space and time lapse. I worked on space and time lapse. First of all, let me
Dude,
introduce myself.
your AI face is crazy. How did you do that?
Yeah.
How did you make your AI face? That's pretty cool. Oh, you're shocked now. Are you from Korea?
I can catch you.
Are you from Korea?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I can catch you.
You can't catch me. I catch you. This is a fake profile. This is crazy. I've never seen this before. Very cool. All right. Well, that's a new experience for me.